Listen very carefully and follow my instructions. Prepare your brain for the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast.
I gotta tell you, being an entrepreneur, I will not go through the rest of my career without taking nootropics. Aniracetam, Paracetam, Modafinil, Nupec, Uridim monophosphate. I mean, phenylparacetam, forget it. You can always have a better brain.
The Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast is about to begin.
Episode number 85 of the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast. I am your host, Ryan Michael Ballo. Thanks so much for being with me. We're going to talk about a nootropic subreddit thread about Aniracetam that's from 8 months ago, but I think it highlights a bunch of things, man. I mean, it highlights that certain racetams, particularly in nootropics in general, can be different for different people. Like, I take Aniracetam, and I have not a whole lot similar to what this reader has, what this person's anecdotal that I'm going to share to you is. But then it also, can offer a good, I guess, sort of a positive perspective for some people that are looking to try Aniracetam or maybe like haven't gotten the dose right or the choline source and quantity right to hopefully make it work for you. So I'm going to read that and we're just going to kind of discuss it. I think it's super interesting and you guys are going to love it. Specials right now on our nootropic products. We got the Cortex Nootropic Stack. That's on sale for $28. If you use the coupon code 5 FIVE, that'll take the Cortex stack to $28. The Cortex stack is just a stack that we made basically because I was kind of PO'd about the quality of the stacks that were out at the time. I mean, none of them were really significantly strong. Like, you want to take a nootropic stack that turns the lights on, and there's no question that you're feeling something significant from it, you want to get to work, and you actually have like productive output or whatever you're looking for, motivation, verbal fluency as a result. We built a stack like that. I was taking the ingredients by myself to run a previous company, a pretty cognitive intense company, and it basically just kicked my butt every day. It was like an awesome stack. It was my go-to stack. Put it in a pre-made stack, launched it, ships to 20 countries, being called the only pre-made stack that works. Okay, so buy a bottle of Cortex at livecortex.com. Again, enter the coupon code 5 FIVE, and that'll save you some money right now. If you need my help personally on anything related to nootropics, we have a popular nootropics consulting service. It's a 40-minute call with me and then 15 additional email correspondences. That's used all around the world, and basically we help people figure out stacks that work really well for them. And some people just drill us with questions the entire time. It's an interesting service. People love it, though. You can get that at livecortex.com. And look, if you're new to nootropics, you got to buy Smarter, Better, Faster. That's our book that we wrote on nootropics, on the best stacks in the world to take, and how to surgically use and cycle nootropics to get the best effects. Basically teaches you everything, and it's a digital downloadable book you can read on any device you have. Again, it's called Smarter, Better, Faster. Buy that at livecortex.com. Okay, so I'm going to read the whole thread here, and then we're going to talk about it. It's called Aniracetam is the most intense yet most subtle racetam I've ever experienced. It goes, please read. These effects listed here shouldn't convince someone to keep taking or take nootropics. I made the mistake starting out in this community by having faith in people's experiences and thinking that maybe it has to build up. This might be true, but I hate the attitude of some people here that view nootropics as harmless and not practice harm reduction. Please don't be stupid like me. Also, when reading these experiences, you have to take into account the person's diet, physical activity, mental and physical stress, age, etc. There's a lot of things that contribute to your experiences with nootropics without you knowing it. And I'll just sort of stop from reading and say that's absolutely true. All that's true. All right, back to reading. Dosage and how the drug interacts with your body isn't the only thing you have to think about. Using nootropics coupled with the sustainable natural nootropics, like exercising your memory and meditation will surely maximize the benefits of the nootropics you take. Stay safe, people. And then he goes into dosage. Taking 750 milligrams of Aniracetam every day, usually in the morning or late morning for 1 month. Sometimes I would redose it, but I forget or feel like I don't need another dose. Then he goes into the effects. Antidepressant effects. Using this nootropic coupled with exercise and meditation for a month made me feel like a Zen monk. Less tense. Don't judge my thoughts. Move past insecurities and not acting like a bitch. I lost my place here. Oh yeah, not acting like a bitch when it comes to productivity. Of course, these effects might be from the combination of the exercise and meditation. However, my friend also experienced the anxiolytic effects from Aniracetam, as well as a decrease in resistance when it comes to productivity. And he's a lazy, anxious slob. I will stop and say that, yeah, Aniracetam absolutely has the capacity to be an anxiolytic compound. It can tone down anxiety to a significant degree for a lot of folks and kind of just level their head out. So that makes perfect sense. At the end of the month, wow, the saturation effect is no doubt not a placebo. However, I sense the feeling of having increased vision distance and visual identification. Side note, that could easily happen with taking cholinergic compounds because there is a lot of cholinergic activity in the retina of the eye. So that makes perfect sense. That's why people get better vision or HD vision or clearer vision when they take Noopept, because you're increasing the signaling of acetylcholine. That has a lot to do with the retina. In fact, choline is necessary for the retina and parts of the eye to develop when you are a baby. Visual acuity. At the end of the month, wow. Oh, no, okay. I said that already. Stimulation. Not the best racetam for stimulation, in my opinion, but the stimulation is there. I think it seems that Aniracetam stimulation is more of a mental one than a physical one. And that totally makes sense. I mean, Aniracetam stimulates me quite a bit. It is certainly a mental one. And yeah, it kind of just drives me to want to do stuff. Cognition. Verbal, visual, and auditory recognition is enhanced definitely. Silver tongue effect, more pronounced than other nootropics I've experimented with. Basically, he's saying that his verbal fluency has been improved by the Aniracetam. Then he goes, best part. The only nootropic that I experiment with that didn't have an effing crash, this is a godsend for me. So all the other stuff he messed with gave him like some sort of crash afterwards. Of course, this is dose dependent, and I haven't been taking high doses. And this is the guy's conclusion. My favorite racetam so far, for sure. The spectrum of effects is wider than any racetam I've experimented with. The effects are the intense yet subtle as well. And I believe this is the only racetam I took that had no negative effects for me so far. If you plan on taking this racetam, I suggest starting with 750 milligrams. I feel high doses of most nootropics I experiment with are redundant and don't offer anything but more side effects. I totally agree with that. Start slow and hopefully it'll benefit you if you wish to start using this nootropic. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. That's again, we sort of talked about the antidepressant effects, but there's no question about it that if you respond well to Aniracetam, you're going to feel pretty perked up after taking it. You're going to just feel good. And that contributes to antidepressant effects. I mean, I think part of why people have depression is because they kind of can't get their brains to move past one thing or the other, like a particular state that they're in, it's a thing that they've been dealing with, God forbid, like a breakup, which is one of the hardest things to do in the world. But if you can get the brain working really well, then it processes things better. You don't get stuck in your thoughts, and you can kind of move on and get to productivity. And that just makes you feel better. That's an antidepressant in and of itself. Productivity is an antidepressant. When it comes to verbal fluency with Aniracetam in this particular user's experience, I know that when I take it, I have better verbal fluency, but it is not that significant. For this person, it was significant. I mean, for me, it's certainly there. It just isn't as good as like taking the Cortex stack, for example. The Cortex stack is such a massive brain fluidity and verbal fluency nootropic compound. Like nothing I've ever taken comes even close. There's a couple things that come somewhat close. A compound called Acorus calamus, otherwise known as sweet flag. That's pretty good for verbal fluency. And there's some others out there that are good, but nothing is quite like Cortex. And that's because uridine and CDP choline, which are in it, play a massive role in putting the brain in a state where everything is very fluid, which leads to verbal fluency. But Aniracetam for me doesn't do it all that much. Now the stimulation, I'm the opposite with this guy. He said the stimulation of the racetam is like not the best. But besides phenylpiracetam, Aniracetam is the most stimulating racetam I've ever taken. When I take it, I know, great, I'm going to get a lot done today because I'm going to be stimulated to want to sit down in front of my laptop and get stuff done. Then there's cognition. So verbal, visual, and auditory recognition is enhanced. Silver tongue effect. Yeah, I don't get a whole bunch of verbal fluency from Aniracetam, but there's certainly some. Best part, the only nootropic I experiment with that didn't have a crash. I don't crash on Aniracetam either. I've never crashed on Aniracetam. God, I don't think I've really crashed on any racetams unless I didn't sleep the night before, and then I took like oxyracetam to get my brain fluidity back, and then I crashed because I didn't sleep the night before, So my experiences are in line with this person's to an extent, especially on the crashing part. Okay, and then the conclusion, this is my favorite racetam so far. The spectrum of effects is wider than anything else. My favorite racetam is oxiracetam, just because it adds the focus effect to it. Isn't quite as racy, kind of doesn't make me as I guess doesn't put my brain in a place where it's just like potential to move too fast. Oxiracetam is kind of just like the perfect, well-balanced racetam for me. And so that's kind of my position on it. Okay, so I hope that this has been illuminating. I hope that this has helped some of you folks to get a better understanding of aniracetam, the differences between certain nootropic compounds with different people, and basically everything else in between. I mean, like that's this person's experience compared to my experience. There's a lot of hidden gems in there. Like, don't overdose the stuff. Just take a dose of a particular compound and then like move on, because if you take more than you should on a particular dose, that's when you're gonna run into side effects. The potential for side effects is like so much larger. And so there were a lot of hidden gems and pieces of information within that podcast that I hope that I've been super useful in giving you. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Specials on the Cortex stack right now. Coupon code 5FIVE gets you a bottle of what's being called the only pre-made nootropic stack that works for $28. Significantly powerful stack. And then if you need my help personally, again, we've got a consulting service. It's a 40-minute call with me on nootropics. I can help you figure out stacks that are good for you, that work best for you. Or you can just drill me with questions for 40 minutes. I mean, that's what a lot of folks do too. And again, if you're new to nootropics, just buy Smarter, Better, Faster. That's our digital book that, teaches you everything about nootropics, gives you many stacks. These are like my favorite stacks, kind of shows you my philosophy and what it's taken me just about 10 years to learn on how to properly use nootropics to get the best effects. Smarter, Better, Faster is a digital downloadable book that you can open on any device you have and start reading today if you want to buy it. Go to livecortex.com, get yourself some awesome nootropic products, my friends, and rock on. Talk to you next time.